My name is Miranda Brody. My life has been tumultuous from the moment I was born. Being born without sight in my left eye would profoundly shape my destiny. My early childhood memories are fragmented and hazy. I can't even clearly remember my parents' faces. All I remember is the constant discomfort I felt and my parents' cold stares. Miranda, get out of the way. You're in the way. Can't you see? I heard such words almost daily. I suppose my parents never could accept that I couldn't see out of my left eye. To them, I was probably defective. By the time I started school, I was acutely aware that I was different from the other children. Making friends was difficult, and I was always alone. The teachers were kind to me, but I felt it was only out of pity. I remember the day before my 10th birthday when my parents were unusually gentle with me. Miranda, tomorrow's your birthday. We'll take you somewhere special. Her words gave me a glimmer of hope. Maybe this would strengthen our family bond, I thought. The next day, we drove for a long time. I desperately watched the scenery change through my right eye. The lush green cityscape gradually transformed into a desolate desert landscape. Here we are, Miranda, Dad said as the car stopped. When I got out, the scorching sun enveloped us. Looking around, all I could see was sand and rocks stretching to the horizon. Wait here. We'll be right back. With those words, my parents got back in the car. I heard the engine start, and the car drove away. I waited there, just as they had told me. 1 hour, 2 hours. Even as the sun began to set, my parents didn't return. How long did it take me to accept the reality? I had been abandoned by my parents. On my 10th birthday, in the middle of the Arizona desert. I cried until I had no tears left. Then, I started walking to survive. Not knowing where I was heading, I just kept walking desperately. My throat was parched, my feet sank into the sand, and my whole body ached from sunburn. Night fell, and the cold set in. The starry sky was beautiful, but I had no luxury to enjoy its beauty. I lay my exhausted body down on the cold sand. Someone, help me. Whispering in a hoarse voice, I lost consciousness. When I opened my eyes, I was in a soft bed. An unfamiliar pattern on the ceiling. The smell of antiseptic tickling my nose. I immediately realized I was in a hospital. Oh, you're awake. I turned toward the gentle voice and saw a woman in a white coat standing there. I'm Maria Clark. I'm the wife of the pastor who found you. Maria gently held my hand. Tears welled up in my eyes at her warmth. It's all right now. You're safe. At Maria's words, I finally let out a sigh of relief. But the next moment, fear struck me. The police. My parents. My voice was trembling. Maria let out a deep sigh. We've contacted the police. We reported it when we found you. As for your parents, they haven't been found yet. At that moment, the hospital room door opened, and 2 police officers entered. Hello, Miranda. How are you feeling? A kind-looking female officer addressed me. I nodded slightly. We have some questions about your parents. Could you tell us what you remember, whatever you're comfortable sharing? The male officer said. In a shaking voice, I told the officers everything I could remember. Being taken to the desert, my parents leaving, being left alone. When I finished speaking, the female officer gently placed her hand on my shoulder. "You did well telling us all that, Miranda. You're brave. Don't worry, we'll find your parents." After the officers left, Maria embraced me. "It's okay, Miranda. We'll protect you from now on." A few days later, I was discharged from the hospital. My parents still hadn't been found. The police continued their investigation, but there seemed to be few leads. The Clarks, working with Child Protective Services, arranged to take temporary custody of me. "Miranda, this is your home now," the pastor said. His voice was full of love. At first, I struggled to adjust to the unfamiliar environment. But the Clarks' love was genuine. They never once made an issue of my blind left eye. "Miranda, your eye is special. It's a gift from God," Maria would often say to encourage me. At school, with the Clarks' support, I gradually made friends. The teachers were considerate of my disability and taught me patiently. "Miranda, you have wonderful talent." I was truly happy when my English teacher praised me. I loved reading and immersed myself in the world of literature. In high school, I became passionate about student council activities. Drawing from my own experience, I launched support programs for students with disabilities. "Miranda, your actions are inspiring many people," the pastor proudly watched over my activities. As college application time approached, the Clarks fully supported my dreams. "Miranda, your future is bright. Whatever path you choose, we'll support you." Maria's words filled me with deep gratitude. Looking back, 8 years had passed since that desert incident. My anger and sadness toward my parents had gradually faded. Instead, my gratitude toward the Clarks had grown. "Dad, Mom, thank you." I had started calling them that. They were more than real parents to me. I decided to major in political science in college. I wanted to have the power to change society. "Miranda, you'll surely be able to help many people," the pastor's words made me nod firmly. I felt a mix of excitement and anxiety about my new life ahead. But with the Clarks as my strong allies, I felt I could overcome any difficulty. My life was just beginning. I'm excited just imagining what adventures await me. On my college graduation day, the Clarks embraced me with proud expressions. With my political science degree in hand, I was ready to take my first step toward new challenges. "Miranda, you're determined, aren't you?" Maria smiled gently. I nodded. "Yes. There are many things I need to change." The pastor placed his hand on my shoulder and encouraged me, saying, "God will guide you. And will always be on your side." Right after graduation, I decided to run for Phoenix City Council. The campaign was tougher than I had imagined. While some pointed out my youth and lack of experience, I overcame these challenges with my characteristic perseverance. Miranda Brody will bring a fresh wind to this city. When one of my supporters said that, I felt a warmth in my chest. I could feel my message gradually reaching people's hearts. During the campaign, an incident occurred. The local disability support center was facing closure due to budget shortfalls. "At this rate, many people will lose necessary support," the center's staff pleaded. I took immediate action. I started a petition drive and submitted a request to the City Council for budget review. Day after day, I stood on the streets, seeking citizens' understanding. Even if each individual voice is small, together we can create big changes. My passion gradually spread to those around me, and many volunteers joined the activity. As a result, we collected more signatures than expected, and the City Council promised to reconsider the budget. This event had a significant impact on my election campaign. Many citizens highly valued my initiative and determination. On election day, I waited for the results with a racing heart. And when the votes were counted, I was elected as the youngest City Council member. Miranda, congratulations! The Clarks rushed to me. Tears were shining in their eyes. Thank you, Dad, Mom. This is all thanks to you both. My days as a City Council member were busier than I had imagined. Meetings, committees, dialogue with citizens, every day brought new challenges. However, I cherished each one. I especially focused on advocating for disability rights. Drawing from my own experience, I proposed various policies including promoting barrier-free access, expanding employment support, and improving educational environments. Councilwoman Brody's proposals are really improving many citizens' lives. One day, a man in a wheelchair thanked me with those words. Hearing that, I truly felt glad I had become a politician. However, not everything went smoothly. There was criticism from opponents and sometimes personal attacks. During such times, the Clarks always supported me. Miranda, you're doing the right thing. Never give up. Maria's words encouraged me countless times. By my second term as City Council member, my name had become well known throughout the state. Then one day, I received an unexpected proposal. Councilwoman Brody, we'd like you to run for governor. Party leaders approached me with this suggestion. I was surprised but simultaneously felt great potential. As governor, I might be able to change more people's lives for the better. After deep consideration, I decided to run. An even bigger challenge awaited me. After deciding to run for governor, my life changed dramatically. While my experience as a City Council member was valuable, creating policies with the entire state in mind was an entirely new challenge. The election battle was intense. My opponent was a veteran politician with abundant funding and strong support base. They persistently attacked my youth and lack of experience. It's too reckless to entrust state government to Brody. Such criticism filled the media daily. However, I never gave up. True, I might lack experience. But that's precisely why I can approach state government with a fresh perspective. In debates and street speeches, I continued to boldly advocate my beliefs. Beyond disability rights advocacy, I presented specific policies on a wide range of issues including education reform, environmental protection, and economic revitalization. Miranda, your passion is moving people's hearts. Maria's words encouraged me. The Clarks remained my strongest supporters. As the election campaign entered its final stage, an unexpected situation arose. The secret of my birth was leaked to some media outlets. Candidate Brody was abandoned by her birth parents at age 10. Sensational headlines circulated throughout the state. Though shaken, I decided to use this opportunity to honestly tell my story. Yes, I was abandoned by my parents. But I was blessed with wonderful adoptive parents and have come this far supported by many people. This experience is what drives my politics. Contrary to expectations, this confession resonated with many voters. My life story of overcoming hardships touched people's hearts. On voting day, I waited for the results with a prayer-like feeling. And as the vote count progressed, an amazing fact became clear. I had won. Miranda Brody determined as next governor of Arizona. Seeing my face on the TV screen, I couldn't help but shed tears. My long-held dream had finally come true. Miranda, congratulations. The pastor embraced me. Maria, with tears in her eyes, said, "We're so proud of you." Amidst the lingering excitement of victory, preparations for the inauguration began. Ceremony content, guest lists, security measures. There were countless things to consider. Finally, Inauguration Day arrived. The plaza in front of the Arizona State Capitol was packed with citizens. I took deep breaths, trying to calm my nerves. "Are you ready, Governor?" an aide called out. I nodded and approached the podium. "Citizens of Arizona." My voice rang out clearly through the microphone. I read my prepared speech, savoring each word. "I hereby pledge to dedicate all my efforts for all people of this state." Just as the speech reached its climax, suddenly there was a commotion in the audience. I briefly paused my speech. Then, two figures emerged from the crowd. At that moment, my body froze. Though aged, their faces were unmistakable. They were my birth parents. "Miranda. It's us." I faintly heard my mother's voice. It was the first time in 28 years. My father stood silently, but his eyes were fixed on me. The venue erupted in chaos. Security personnel were approaching my parents. My mind went blank. I had no idea how to respond. Then, I caught the eyes of the Clarks sitting in the front row. They quietly nodded to me. Their gesture brought me back to my senses. Taking a deep breath, I turned back to the microphone. "I apologize for the interruption. Let me continue my speech." My voice might have trembled slightly. But it never broke. My life has not been an easy one. However, every experience has shaped who I am today. Going forward, no matter what difficulties arise, I will continue to face them head-on, never running away. The venue fell silent. I glanced in my parents' direction. They were watching me with complex expressions. Finishing my speech, I bowed deeply. Loud applause erupted, enveloping my ears. It was the beginning of a new chapter. And simultaneously, a confrontation with a past I had sealed away for years. What developments awaited ahead? With mixed feelings of anxiety and anticipation, I quietly closed my eyes. After the inauguration commotion settled, I let out a deep sigh in my office. Outside the window stretched the vast Arizona desert. 28 years ago, I was abandoned in that desert, and now I stand at the top of this state. I can't help but feel life's strange twists. A knock sounded, and my secretary peeked in. "Governor, I've brought them as requested." Tension runs through me. The door opens, revealing two elderly figures. My birth parents. "Miranda." Mother's voice trembles. I stood up and took a deep breath. Please, have a seat. They nervously sat down. A heavy silence hung in the air for a while. Thank you for coming, I said, maintaining as much composure as possible. Father spoke up. Miranda, we are truly sorry. At those words, 28 years' worth of emotions welled up at once. Anger, sadness, and a strange sense of relief. Why did you do it? My voice trembled slightly. Mother began speaking through tears. Back then, we were young and foolish. We didn't have the confidence to raise a child who couldn't see from one eye, but that's no excuse. Father continued. We regretted it every day. But we were too ashamed to make contact. And before we knew it, so many years had passed. I listened to them silently, complex emotions swirling inside me. We're proud of your success, Mother said. I couldn't help but smile bitterly at those words. After not being your daughter for 28 years? They hung their heads. Then, Father spoke in a small voice. Actually, we need your help. I frowned. What do you mean? Father hesitantly began speaking. In recent years, we've had a series of business failures. We're in heavy debt. Debt? I couldn't hide my surprise. Mother continued. We've lost our house and car. We're staying at a friend's place now. I was speechless. The two people before me no longer appeared as the cruel parents who abandoned me, but as pitiful elderly couple who had failed in life. How much debt? I asked, regaining my composure. Father answered. About $500,000. I drew in a breath at that amount. It's not a small sum. Why come to me? I quietly asked. Mother answered tearfully. When we heard you became governor, we thought it was our last hope. I fell into deep thought. How should I handle this situation? It's not just a financial matter. 28 years of emotions, responsibility, ethics, various elements are intertwined. I need time, I finally spoke. I can't answer right away. They nodded slightly. Thank you for listening, Father said. After they left the room, I stood by the window, gazing into the distance. The desert landscape stirred memories from 28 years ago. This unexpected reunion and my parents' dire situation. How should I respond, not as a governor, but as a human being? The answer hasn't yet come. Several days have passed since the shocking reunion with my parents. I was gazing at Phoenix's cityscape from my office window. From the desert where I was abandoned to the heart of this metropolis. I can't help but feel life's irony. Miranda, are you all right? I turned to find Maria standing there with a worried expression. The Clarks had rushed over as soon as they heard about this situation. Yes, somehow. I returned a smile, but complex emotions were swirling inside. The pastor quietly said, Miranda, whatever you decide, we're on your side. Those words warmed my heart. For 28 years, these two had been my real parents. They gave me everything: love, education, and life guidance. They were my benefactors who provided me with everything. Dad, Mom, thank you. I hugged them both tightly. Their warmth provided some peace to my troubled mind. However, I couldn't get my birth parents out of my head. $500,000 in debt. And a reunion after 28 years. Their words kept echoing in my mind. We thought it was our last hope. I let out a deep sigh. As governor, I couldn't use public funds for a private family matter. Yet, I couldn't just ignore it either. Could I even forgive them? Deep down, anger and sadness still swirled. But you weren't perfect parents from the start either, were you? Maria's words startled me. Indeed, even the Clarks must have gone through trial and error. Still, they never abandoned me and continued to love me. People can change. Maybe your parents too. Maria's kind eyes touched my heart. A few days later, I called my birth parents back to my office. They appeared with anxious expressions. I have an answer regarding your request. I took a deep breath and continued. As governor, I cannot use public funds for personal matters. I'm sure you understand that. My parents nodded with grave expressions. However, I carefully chose my words. As an individual, I've thought of a way to help you. Their eyes widened. There are conditions. First, I won't take on the entire debt. You need to make efforts to repay it yourselves. I will support those efforts. Father opened his mouth. What do you? There's a state employment support program. You can participate despite your age. Find work there and repay bit by bit. I'll take on part of the debt on the condition that you participate in the program and receive counseling. My parents seemed lost for words. And one more thing, I looked at them seriously. This is the beginning of a new relationship. We can't change the past. But what we do from here on is up to us. Tears welled up in Mother's eyes. Miranda, thank you. We won't betray your trust, Father solemnly promised. I nodded quietly. I'm still not sure if this is the right decision. But I chose to believe that people can change. As I watched my parents leave the room, I whispered in my heart. Dad, Mom. Those words were for the Clarks. They were the ones who gave me the courage to make this decision. Outside the window, Arizona's strong sunlight illuminated the desert, as if heralding the beginning of a new chapter.